Okay, so just here at this beginning of this first week, wanted to give you an overview of the content that we're going to be covering in this course. Now, we do cover a lot of material. It's not even a small portion of everything that's ever been written about ethics because every culture and every time period has written things, interesting things. There's been philosophers and religious teachers and scholars and prophets and all kinds of people that have written on the topic of ethics. We're just going to take a small sampling. Hopefully some of the most useful things we'll be looking at in terms of trying to understand this very broad discipline. So the course is divided into 3 units, and but there's kind of 4 main topics. So the second unit kind of has 2 topics in it. So the first unit is what philosophers call metaethics, and metaethics refers to questions about the nature of ethics. So very sort of fundamental questions like, is the right thing to do what benefits me, or is the right thing to do what is selfless? Like, is the right thing helping other people, or is it helping yourself? Now, most philosophers have thought about ethics in terms of the right thing being to do is generally we have moral obligations to help others, but there's been a few philosophers who have thought that's completely wrong. Ethics is all about helping yourself. That's one example of one of the topics in metaethics. We'll also be thinking about, essentially we're trying to answer the question, what is morality? So we'll be looking at questions like, is morality just rules of a particular culture? That's sort of a lot of people's first response when you ask them what is morality, or what is moral rules, or what is a moral rule, right? One common response is to think, well, they're the rules of a culture. Culture determines what morality is. Another common response is to explain morality in terms of religion, that a religion determines what morality is, or God determines it, or what God commands is the right thing to do. Another idea is that whatever is right for me, whatever I think is right, is what's right. That's sometimes known as subjectivism, or basically using our personal beliefs or emotions, how we feel about something, to determine what's right and wrong. Those are all approaches that philosophers have generally not liked. The philosophical approach to ethics is a bit different. It's trying to find reasons why we should prefer one action to another action. So we'll get more into that as we go along, but that's the basic idea. We're trying to, at a very fundamental level, understand what is ethics. And metaethics, a discipline of metaethics, is sort of questions about the nature of ethics, or the nature of moral truth. So that'll be our first unit. Our second unit is going to be 2 different subdisciplines of philosophy. The first is called normative ethics. So normative ethics relates to, from the word norm, you might be able to guess, has to do with norms of behavior. So norm is a standard of behavior. So what is the normative moral standard of behavior? What is the standard of moral behavior that we should all sort of try and model, or what is the right, correct standard of moral behavior? And we'll look at 3 theories in normative ethics. We'll be looking at social contract theory of Thomas Hobbes, Kantian ethics from Immanuel Kant, and utilitarianism, most commonly associated with John Stuart Mill, but also Jeremy Bentham. In that second unit, we'll also be doing political philosophy. And political philosophy is theories about what is fair or just. If normative ethics is about what's right or wrong, you can think about political philosophy as about what's fair or just. Or if normative ethics is about which individual actions are right and wrong, political philosophy is about which systems of government or which laws are right or wrong, or although the more common way of stating that is which laws are fair or just. And in that unit, we'll be looking at 3 theories as well. One is Marxism, one is egalitarianism, and one is libertarianism. And especially once we begin the second unit, we're going to be looking at kind of chronologically. So our first theory of Hobbes begins in the Enlightenment, so the period of European history starts roughly in the 1600s, and we're going to take our various philosophers chronologically up through our current period of time. So hopefully in this that second unit you'll get a sort of very broad sense of a lot of the moral and political issues that we are dealing with in their historical context, which will hopefully help make them more interesting and more relevant, and hopefully give you some sort of better ways of thinking about them than you may have encountered, because you'll have a much broader perspective on them. Alright, so those are our first two units. First one, metaethics, sort of fundamental questions about the nature of morality. The second one, we're doing normative ethics, questions about right and wrong, which actions are right and wrong, as well as political philosophy, so which systems of government or which laws are right and wrong. Our third unit is applied ethics. Applied ethics is when we try and look at very specific issues and try and come to a reasoned opinion about them. So we're going to look at a number of issues. Just off the top of my head, we're looking at abortion, animal rights, the death penalty, affirmative action, gay marriage, adultery, drug decriminalization, how we should think about the environment, moral obligations to the environment, moral obligations to future generations of human beings, war. So we're going to be thinking about a lot of very interesting topics in that last unit, and hopefully we'll be able to take and apply some of the stuff we've done in the first and the second unit, and think very deep, interesting philosophical thoughts about these important issues. Alright, so that's a brief overview of the content and the material that we're going to be covering in this course. Alright, thanks.